is Nordic. Everything about it is Nordic. It has nothing to do with Christianity. There isn't a single reference to Christmas time anywhere in the Bible that I'm aware of. Everything about Christmas is Nordic. The Christmas tree obviously is part of the sacred tree of the Nords, who would have sacred groves and it would hang sacred objects. The Christmas lights are reference. They would use candles and torches to decorate their homes and pathways and their villages. It was a magical thing as well as just decorative. Santa Claus and giving children gifts, that comes from Odin and Thor, okay? Yeah, it's 100% Nordic. It's not Christian. Now, what happened throughout Christianity, you see, everybody was forced to adopt Christianity. They would come in with a legion of soldiers and tell people, we're worshiping Jesus now, and that's all there is to it. They would usually torture the priests, the pagan priests, torture them and burn them alive, often slowly, in a public spectacle, make the whole village watch. And this was done over and over and over again. They would destroy the sacred places of worship, the sacred temples, the sacred groves, the sacred places. They would destroy them and usually put a Christian church on these sites as a way of like saying, we're dominating your God. We're putting our church on top of your God. You're going to worship our God now. You're going to worship the false god of Christianity, and you don't have a choice. Now, anything about that coming from a benevolent God, obviously, is bullcrap, okay? Christianity is a front for Judaism. There is no question about it, okay? It has been from its earliest days. Because everything has its energy. And the energy of this Yuletime festival continues to this day, because it's got its essence. Whereas the energy of Christianity is always negative. It's always depressing. It's always crazy. People get involved with Christianity, get crazy. I've met Buddhist monks, I've met Hindus, and people who practice yoga and real spiritual exercises that some of them, not all of them, but some of them have this peace which passes all understanding, which Jesus talks about. But I've never met a Christian in my entire life that had any peace that passes all understanding. They go to a church, a typical church, there's a lot of people on these fake smiles on, and Jesus loves you, and all this kind of stuff. But you get to know these people, you find out the only time they're all cheerful and happy or have a fake Christian smile on their faces on Sunday morning. The rest of the time, most of them are usually pretty mentally disturbed. The ones who take it really seriously are almost always nuts. They're almost always crazy. If they weren't crazy to begin with, they will be if they start taking this contradicting religion too seriously, that there's a benevolent God who loves everybody is going to torture everybody in hell if they don't believe in him. It gives no evidence of his existence, but he's going to torture you in hell if you don't believe in him. If you take that seriously, it's going to drive you nuts, okay? Anyway, Yuletime is related to the word null. Yule is related to null, which means zero. It's a 0 point. It's a 0 point in the year where the old 365 days is over, and they're going to start with the 0 point. They're starting a new year. It's symbolized by the rune Yara. You notice it's got two cycles here. Like one is summer, one is winter, and they're kind of interchanging. It has to do with the year. It has to do with the harvest. And this was a very sacred time. It's when the old year died and the new year was coming in. The old sun died. Yule time has to do with the end of the year, okay? And they had a festival, and it was a very important festival to the Nordic people, especially when they lived in the cold climate. They were looking forward to summer returning. But in a lot of ways, this Yule time is one of the most, if not the most mystical time of year. So when the physical energies are draining away, the spiritual energies become stronger, and vice versa. So on the one hand, physically, this is the dead time of year where everything basically is dormant or dead. But spiritually, magically, it's the strongest time of year, for the most part. I mean, you got to take everything in consideration. You got to take all the different planetary aspects. If the moon and the planetary aspects are weak in the wintertime, it's not going to be very spiritual. If they're strong in the summertime, it's going to be very spiritual. But I'm saying, as a rule, winter is more mystical than.
But I can look at Jesus Christ, and then I'm in good company. He failed too. He was no big success, I mean, you don't write success story at the end of his thing. What do you have as a Christian? What the heck do you have to do? Nothing. You keep saying to God somewhere, do something about it, and so forth and so on, and nothing happens, and you just drain and drain and drain, and then you'll go Sunday morning and pretend amazing grace, everything is wonderful, but it's a pretense. It's not true. Explain to me. I mean, how can you possibly sit, and how can these people sit in these churches for 2,000 years and watch bombs falling for 2,000 years and watch people starving for 2,000 years and watch the earth being polluted and destroyed for 2,000 years and sing Amazing Grace? Doesn't anybody anywhere ever face the doggone facts of what's happened, or what has happened? Has anybody got the guts to stand up and say, hey, we're doing it wrong,